we were very fortunate to get adopted. We were not in a good place. Mom was a drug addict. Aunts and uncles were drug addicts. All lived together. So for a lot of my life, I had a lot of hate built up for her, and how could you give your own kid away and da da da. But as I got older in life, I realized that that was probably the best thing she's ever done in her life, giving us away, and how hard and challenging that had to be for her too.
Ladies and gentlemen,
you are now about to witness
the journey that is the Lyfe Choyces podcast.
Yeah!
Jeremy, welcome to the Lyfe Choyces podcast.
Thank you.
You are an established young man. You have a wonderful business called Goodfellas.
Yes, I do.
You are on Belvedere.
Yep, just east of I-95. There's a lot of freedom that comes with being a barber. You work for yourself. A lot of times you can set your own schedule, how many hours you want to work, how many days you want to work. You determine how much money you want to make by how hard you work and how much you want to work. But like I said, as good as that is, that can also be the downfall for a lot of barbers.
I think a lot of people in general, when you become your own boss and you work for yourself, especially those who want to work at home versus actually still having to physically go somewhere, you almost become lazy because you're like, well, I work for myself, so I can go to work when I want.
Oh, jeez, the story of my girlfriend. You don't gotta go to work. You know, yeah, I do. No, you don't. You own it. That's why I gotta go.
Even more to the point why you gotta go, right?
Yeah, I mean, if I'm not there, who's gonna be? And I gotta make sure everything's going right. And I'm a barber myself. If
Yeah.
I'm not there with people in the chair, I don't make money.
If you don't make money, you don't got a roof over your head.
Nope.
Because I know a little bit about you, you have one child.
Yeah.
And is that with the current lady or is that with?
Yes, with the current.
Okay.
Well, I say I have two.
Yeah.
I'm a stepdad, or call it a father if you want, to her son. She has two. Probably the only male figure in his life, his whole life. He's 16 now.
Wow.
So, honestly speaking, when people ask, I tell them I got two kids. I got a 16-year-old and I got a 6-year-old. And raising any kids is challenging. Raising your own kids is challenging. Raising somebody else's kids is challenging.
I think that's a whole other world of challenge because you're not the blood relative of the individual, and you kind of almost have to step on a fine line as to where you can and can't, depending on how long you've been the father figure or the mother figure, right?
Absolutely.
Since you've been there for 9 years, I feel like you probably have abilities to do more things than a stepdad that might have only been around for a year or two.
Yeah, absolutely.
A bit more.
Like I've known his mom my whole life.
Okay.
So I was there when he was born. I wasn't in the hospital, but man, he came home. I was there. I seen him when he was a couple weeks old, and I've been in his life consistently. But as far as, like I said, a father figure, I'd say past 9, almost 10 years.
And that's a big responsibility.
Yeah, it definitely is, man. But you know what? I was fortunate enough to have a great example. The person I call my dad, my father, my whole life, is actually my uncle. He ended up adopting me and my older brother when I was 2 and my brother was 9. So I had someone who isn't really my dad, but to me, I mean, that's my dad. That's the person who raised me my whole life, taught me everything I know. So funny how life works out. You wind up raising it. I'm doing the same thing. I'm raising a kid that's not mine, taking care of somebody else's kid. And not to say somebody else's kid, but I mean, that's what it is.
I mean, if you break it down to the raw aspect of it, it is someone else's child. You have been the father figure for more than half his life, which is admirable. And the fact that you're saying that that's kind of how you were brought up, therefore it doesn't actually make it that shocking that you've decided that that's totally normal and totally fine. And what's your dad's name, your uncle, your dad?
Patrick Forshee.
Patrick?
Forshee.
Forshee.
Yep.
Shout out to Patrick, man. Good fucking job, dude. Like, that's commendable.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
It's his, my mom is his sister. We were very fortunate to get adopted. We were not in a good place. Mom was a drug addict. Aunts and uncles were drug addicts. All lived together. So for a lot of my life, I had a lot of hate built up for her, and how could you give your own kid away and da da da. But as I got older in life, I realized that was probably the best thing she's ever done in her life, giving us away, and how hard and challenging that had to be for her too.
It's amazing how you can look at it like that at this point in your life, that you actually look at it in a positive.
You're talking about 20-something years later.
Yeah.
It takes a while to get through stuff like that, but
we talk about it all the time here on the Lyfe Choyces podcast, which is just that. Everything that happens in your life is for a reason. And to get to a better part, it takes every day to get there.
Yeah.
And when you get there, it still takes every day to maintain that
absolutely.
level.
Marathon.
Yeah. So did you ever then, being that the background is almost, could be crippling for some people growing up in a household where you have addiction and no permanent parental figure, but then someone else steps in, which was wonderful that he'd done that for you and your brother. What was there anything in your life that you kind of might have gone one way or the other?
I could say this: had we stayed there, our lives would be completely different. I definitely wouldn't be sitting here. I was young enough to where I didn't get to see and deal with a lot of things. Like I said, my older brother he was 9 at the time. So he went through a lot more than I did.
He saw and absorbed.
Absorbed, had to do things. I mean, this is no joke. When, my mom would go on crack runs for 2 weeks at a time and just leave us at the house.
Just disappear.
So when you and I said we got adopted when he was 9. So you're talking about 5, 6, 7, 8, having to watch your little brother, find food, get food. So you got a kid that is willing to go walk into a convenience store right around the corner and steal food so we can eat.
At 5, 6, 7 years old.
Or there happens to be fucked up, but dog food in the house.
Do what you got to do.
Do what you got to fucking do. So his life was totally different than mine. And the outcome of it has been totally different than mine. Which, it sucks because that's my brother. And it's horrible. But at the same time, it's been a fucking blessing. Because I got to see what not to do. And that kept me on a good path. So, fortunate that it went the way it did.
It's a true statement when people say the best people out there are the ones who have gone through the most shit. And I knew nothing of this before you sitting down in that chair. I'd only really known of you by going to your establishment and getting my beard done by other people. Yeah, just a little, hey, how you doing? Good to see you kind of stuff. And that's it.
Did you watch the game? No.
Yeah, like this stuff I don't even actually enjoy doing anymore with people in a bar. I'd much rather this level of conversation.
A real conversation.
Yeah, and we had that.
One.
Yeah, and we had a little bit of that last week or 2 weeks ago when I got my beard done by you, because I saw one of my buddies in the shop and he was getting his trim up by you, Mike. Yep. Shout out Mike Greco.
Yep.
Awesome guy. And then I was like, well, fuck it. I keep coming here. Why not get it from the boss?
You ever need moving?
I know, right? Shout out Safebound Moving.
Yes.
Man's taking over South Florida.
He is.
And upstate New York. I mean, he just moves people up and down.
And I've seen it from the beginning.
Right?
From beginning that he works though. And
I got grinds.
Hustles.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it.
He's been gone for a fair bit now. I just got back. I saw you maybe like 2-3 days after I got back from being away for 3 months. And I haven't seen him come by the shop lately. So I reached out to him. I was like, yo, dude, we're grilling on Friday. I know you're working. I know you're busy, but come on. All you got to do is show up. We got everything. Because Mike wants to show up. He wants to take care of everybody. And it's like, no, we got it. Just come on by. Take an hour out of your day just to kind of unwind and be around the boys that appreciate you.
Yeah. Hang around some good company, eat some food real quick, maybe have a drink.
What else do you need?
Go about your day.
Yeah.
In my earlier years cutting hair, I didn't have this mindset, but customer service is the biggest part of being a barber. It is very hard to be a successful barber and to make, good or great money at it. And you'd asked me that when I was 20, I'd have told you, no, you just got to be a good barber. As long as the haircut's nice, all that matters. And I found out quick, dude, because I would see barbers that did not cut as good as me at all. At all. Sucked. But their talk game was good. and they became friends with the clients in the chair. And he'd come in and it's, hey, Tom, how you doing? How's your wife doing? How was Jessica? She had a gymnastic meet, didn't she? How'd she do? And dude, I'm like, why is this guy busier than me and he sucks? I got to step it up, man. Because that is literally the biggest part of being a barber is the customer service part of it, the experience, the talking, and most importantly, the relationship.
You nailed it right there.
That's it. You have to have.
Life is about relationships and it's building them with a good foundation. And when you have that ability to absorb what the people in the chair are telling you, those who actually are willing to divulge information about their life, which I feel most people are. And a barber shop is such a wonderful, comfortable spot, especially for men, because a barber shop is typically men getting their beards or their fades or whatever. And it's kind of like our man cave,
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
know?
You said it, comfortable.
Yeah, we want to be comfortable. We want to sit back. We want to get treated just like the women like to go get their nails done and that whole spa thing. We like to go to a barber shop and shoot the shit. And it's not just with the person cutting our hair. We want to communicate with the other people in the room.
Yeah.
And whether it's talking about the basketball game on last night or it's talking about other shit like relationships,
Yeah.
you're not shocked if you hear stuff like that happening in the barbershop.
Not at all. Oh, if that's all you hear, then great experience.
Yeah. It's funny to me because, us men have stereotypes put onto us about being masculine and only talking about certain things. But I find that like when I'm in those environments, and maybe it's just me because of where I'm at in my life, but like when I go get my tattoo done by my guy, or if I'm in the barber chair, I have no problem talking about more maybe sensitive topics, to find out about the individual or to express to them that I'm going through something or, hey, have you ever gone through this? Like, what's your take on this situation? And it's funny because the most manly areas, environments, I find tend to talk about such topics that are just more unfamiliar to some men.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that 100%. My girlfriend is shocked by the conversations we would have. She's like, you guys actually talk? I'm like, yeah. Like, talk about like serious stuff? I'm like, yeah. And that's where the relationship part of it comes from. When you can sit there and be vulnerable or open up to somebody about stuff like that, there's no other thing that can happen than for a relationship to start bonding.
Absolutely.
Because that opens the door for him or the next person to be vulnerable or open up about whatever it may be. The conversations in the barbershop, they can get heavy, they can be funny, they can be hectic, they can be loud sometimes. You're also a therapist, and you really are because people sit in your chair and they feel comfortable enough to open up to you about all types of stuff. And they trust you enough to talk to you about it. Maybe you could answer this for me because we're in different seats. I'm the barber and you're the customer. What is it that makes you, I mean, maybe it's just you, but a customer able to do that and feel comfortable enough to do that at a barbershop? Because it happens.
Like you're asking, for me, I can only express how it is for me. It's the person that's doing the cutting, right? And it's how they approach the situation if I'm a new client, right? It's how they start the conversation. You had a gentleman there before, Bruce.
Yep.
Now I don't know why he's there. That's none of my business.
Great guy. Great guy.
He talked and he talked on the same level. Like when I sat in his chair, he was already in a high energy of positivity and liked to talk about certain things. And for me, it was just an instant connection that what he was talking about resonated with what was in my life already. So with him, I could talk about the same things and I would open up to him. I never knew him before. And right away I started talking to him about like what it is I do for a living, what it is I'm trying to do in the future. He opened up and expressed to me that he was in AA. And for me, it's the way that the barber starts the relationship. If I come in and it seems kind of cold in there, kind of no one's really talking, and I sit down and the guy's like, what can I get you today? And that's it. Then, yeah, I'm not going to say much. I'm going to keep my mouth shut, sit down and just let him do his job.
Wait till he gives you the mirror and
yeah, exactly. But I find every person that rents a chair from you has gone out of their way to start the conversation. And maybe it's the way they are. Maybe it's the way you tell them that, maybe you guide them as to how to become a successful barber. They open up the conversation in that shop.
I'd like to take responsibility for that.
Okay.
Maybe I will, maybe I nah. I can't. To be honest, I just got a good group of guys, man. And I'm fortunate enough to have the group of guys I have. Chris is one of my barbers. Been with me 10, 11 years.
Which chair is he in?
He's in the middle chair right under the TV on the opposite side.
On the opposite side. Gotcha.
Yep. But I've known him 14, 15 years. We went to barber school together.
Okay.
Caesar's been with me about 10 years too. I don't know if you know Donovan. He's one of the newer barbers I hired who cuts right next to me, young guy. Right next to me.
Thinner guy.
Yeah, right
absolutely.
next to me. Dude, that kid, his talk game, oh my God, phenomenal. Fun, and he can cut. So, man, I've been waiting. He is going to blossom.
Yeah.
And I didn't do it. Did I tell him, hey, building the relationship? Yes. Give him advice. I'm taking him under my wing. I'm teaching him, and I'm teaching him everything because I know barbering is not just cutting hair. But he naturally has that. He's naturally a talker.
But what you've done is you've created an environment that allows exactly what it is that's needed to be successful at being a barber. So in essence, you have done a lot more than you think. And I can say that because, again, I've been coming to your shop whenever I'm in town for a long time. I actually don't even know how long I've been coming to your shop. Every time I've been in there, I've always seen the way I'm a observer of people, and I've always seen the way you've interacted with your clients, and I've seen how all the other barbers interact with their clients. And it seems for the most part, and I don't know how this works, but it seems like nobody's a new client. Which I'm sure there's tons of new clients because people just walk in, you're just in an area. Yes, you have that environment where I honestly believe that every person that comes in and sits in that chair, has been going to that person forever. And if they haven't, that speaks volumes as to the people that you have in your environment because they make the guests feel that way right off the bat.
Everybody knows your name.
Yeah. And I love that because Cheers is such an old show.
But that saying right there is so important. A barber shop is supposed to feel like that. When you walk in there, it is for everyone. Hey, what's going on, Jim? What's going on, Tom? Everybody knows your name. So that little saying there, that is a barber shop. A barber shop is a hub where people come to network, to communicate, to get a haircut, to feel good, to have good conversation. The only time someone leaves a barber shop matters if they got a bad haircut.
You have created an environment of serenity, I guess, within your, I call them staff, but the people you work with, which seems to be like a family away from home.
That's family.
And everyone,
that is my home. I spend more time there than I do at home.
Girlfriend's going to get bothered by that one.
Yeah. Everything's paid for.
Yeah, it's all that matters, right? I mean, that's what's supposed to be mattering.
She's a hard worker too, man.
Yeah.
I give it to her. She's a very hard worker.
And so there's 2 kids at home or 3?
Yeah, 2.
There's hers from previous, and then
Camden, and then mine, Nikolai.
For the 2 of you have Nikolai. And may we talk about Nikolai for a second?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So that's kind of like a big reason why I first came over and talked to you before I started getting my hair cut from you, my beard cut from you, is I noticed that Nikolai was in like the little playroom that you had. And I grew up with my first cousin. He's the oldest of all of our first cousins, and he has autism.
Okay.
And I was guessing when I had seen Nikolai, and then we had that conversation. So how has that been for you?
Eye-opening, challenging.
I love the way you answer things, man.
I mean, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Eye-opening, challenging. I'm going to say it again. I said it earlier. A blessing in disguise. Best way to put it's been a roller coaster. Ups and downs.
And he's on the spectrum.
Yeah. If I told you there wasn't days or nights where shit's hard and it sucks, and at certain times, do I wish things could be different and things might have been different? Yeah. I'm human.
Human nature.
Would I actually change it given the opportunity? I don't think so. Even knowing what I'm going to have to go through, what he has to go through and all that, because the moment I would change it, he's not who he is. And So that's why I say it's a blessing in disguise, is because, yeah, all this you got to go through surgeries, all the physical therapy, OT, speech therapy, eating therapy, going to doctor's appointments, regular checkups. It's a lot of work. But I have an amazing son. You see him, he's fucking awesome,
Dude, I
dude.
see him. He's awesome.
He
I see
fist
your
pumps
face.
everybody, dude,
Yeah,
and he's,
you
you know,
light up when he's there.
well, he's my world, dude. He's a ball of joy, dude. And man, I'm blessed and he's blessed, man. He's got a hell of a dad and a hell of a mom. So,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
but it's a challenge. It really is. Not only being autistic, he's had a lot of surgeries in his life. He was born with bladder exstrophy. So that's when your bladder's, on the outside of your body and it didn't fully form. So he was born with penis aspadius, which I might not have pronounced that right. But basically if you picture a hot dog bun and open it, that's what his looked like. So there's a lot of stuff that we're gonna be facing even years down the road from now. And we don't know what's in store, but you tend not to worry about it too much. And over the years, you get tougher and you get better at it, and you get better at handling situations and handling the future. And you realize you can't control whatever's going to happen in the future, anyways. Deal with it when it gets there.
I
So,
love it.
and you said it earlier, one day at a time. You know, but it's
Listen,
challenging.
you're in a situation that there is obviously a large population of people that are in the same shoes that you are, but not as much as others who do not have those things in their life. And for you to sit there and talk with just such happiness about everything is, I don't even know how to react. I don't have a child. You do have a long road ahead of you. And the mindset that you have right now is amazing. Like, have you always had that mindset with regards to life, or was it the child that changed you?
I've had that kind of mindset my whole life. Um, I would say it's became more prominent um, with my kid. But even so before then, and that goes back to my dad. You know, what are you gonna do besides do what the fuck you gotta do? What I mean, that is in essence life. Like, you're gonna have good stuff and you're gonna have bad stuff. Of course, you're gonna do the good stuff. You're not gonna want to do the bad. You still gotta fucking do it. Do it.
Facts.
Just fucking do it.
That's it.
Deal with it.
Yeah.
And and that a lot of that does come from my dad. You don't give up until you get it done. So I can do it with anything. Does it get hard? Yeah. Do I want to quit sometimes? Yeah. Do I want to throw in the towel? I need to disappear for a month, and yeah, but I can't. So what are you gonna do? You do it.
I agree with you. I say this quite often. Life shows up at your door the better you're doing. And the better you're doing, the harder they knock. Right. And it's just like a fact of life. And it's how you react to those situations that builds a better person within you, which then, if you have children, builds a better person within them because they are absorbing everything you are doing and everything you are reacting to. And if they see you accomplishing and taking care of and staying steadfast to what it is that you need to accomplish, then they will hopefully grow up in the same manner. I know that when the shit comes to the door for me, there's certain things that I do in order to help myself get through it. Is there anything particular that you might do when those times occur? Like, do you just
What
go
do you?
skateboarding?
Well, that's what I was gonna ask. What do you mean? Yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I'll tell you the truth. I like all my bad at once. Don't give it a little piece here, a little piece there, a little bit. Give it to me in threes or fours or fives. I want to get it done and get over with. Let's get it out the way. But for me, I'll be honest. I smoke some weed and I skateboard. Those are two things that I do. And skateboarding, most importantly, I make it a priority to make sure I get to do that. a couple hours a week, a couple days a week. And it keeps me sane. That's where I find my peace of mind. That's where I'm the most happy. It's very hard to do a kickflip back 50 when you're thinking about, man, did I pay that bill? Or did I, damn, she's mad at me still. Did I get formula for it? You can't. You're strictly thinking about skateboard. So for me, it's the skateboard. And then in times where I am stressed and things are going to shit and I feel like I'm losing it and I might be having a mental breakdown, for me, I'll roll a joint. I'll go sit out back on the porch. I smoke a joint. And half the time it's like, well, what was I upset about? Well, but I'm joking. But for me, it really does. When I smoke a joint, I'm able to sit down, process what has happened, what it is I'm going through, and figure out how to solve it or deal with it or whatever it is I may do. And I can't say if it's the weed or me actually just taking the 30 minutes to sit down out back and relax and not meditate, but just be. But I think the weed helps with that.
I'm going to go as far as saying it's a combination. And I'm going to go even as far as saying it is meditation. It's your form of meditation. Because there's no right or wrong way of meditating. And I do meditation regularly every single day. And I don't do it as to the accordance to the best yogi in the world that says this is what meditation is. I do it according to what's good for me. Yeah, and that's what I express. I do yoga and I do follow a lot of their ideals, but when it comes to something like meditation, what you're expressing to me right now is that you do a lot of self-reflection at the end of your day. You roll a joint and you sit there with your own thoughts. You look within, you figure out what's going on. And the best part that you said is you try to figure out what the solution is. You're not holding on to what the problem is or what the challenge is that's come at you. You're sitting there looking at yourself going, okay, well, how can I fix this? Okay, what can I do to switch this mode? And I love it because that is what meditation is. It's looking within and figuring out where's the solution for what I'm going through right now.
And you said it too. And I'll be even in my relationships, I found that for me, sitting out there and smoking a joint helps because you said reflection. Going out back, smoking a joint for 20, 30 minutes has saved relationships for me. I'm serious.
I'm laughing because it's so fucking true.
I go out there, I smoke a joint, and after I'm like, fuck, man, I was an asshole, dude. I fucked up. I shouldn't have said that. I was wrong. Fuck. I gotta go in there and say sorry. I gotta apologize. But being able to do that has helped, to admit I'm wrong and to realize it. Because in the moment you don't. You're mad, you're hot, you're right, she's right. I go
7 different ways to skin a cat.
There you go.
Yeah. I love that because you're basically, again, I'm going to interpret what you're saying in the way in which I see life. And what you're saying to me is that you smoke weed and let go of your ego in those particular situations. Because I'm a strong believer that when you're in a relationship, and not that I've always done this, because I've been that guy that has flown off the deep end and yelled and said this, that, and the other, and not come to a good solution.
We all have.
But going off onto your own, and whether it's smoking weed or whatever someone else might do, you calm yourself down, you lose your ego, and you're like, fuck. Yep, that's on me.
Reality check.
Swallow a little bit of pride. Go back in and say, yo, babe, sorry that I said that. And you don't even have to say, well, you were kind of wrong on this thing. No. Just, babe, my bad. And that goes so fucking far. And not even with a relationship as in man, woman, same, whatever. Even in your friendship relationships or your business relationships, like if you can pull yourself aside after a day that has gone in a direction you don't like, even if like one of your barbers pissed you off, like, you know what I'm saying, which I'm sure happens.
I was just gonna say it.
Yeah, to go home afterwards and at the end of the day before going to bed, you smoke a J and you're like, okay, well, I did this, and this today. I could have handled that situation a bit better. Oh God, I probably shouldn't have said that.
Yep.
And then going in the next day and be like, yo, Mark, my bad, dude. Let's start again.
Sorry. I'd be in a dick.
And it changes everything. It just it gives
Yes.
the other person a level of respect that they just want to work on it with you, whatever the relationship might be. I love that we're getting on the topic of relationships because, like I said, even in the barber shop or the tattoo shop or just sitting here, two guys talking, relationships tend to come up. What do you think is like the the toughest aspect of a relationship that you've had to deal with?
Me personally, off the top of my head, without giving it too much deep thought,
Mhm.
I would have to say it's probably holding on to things.
Holding on to things that have happened in the past
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
relationship?
yeah, absolutely. I'll forgive, but I don't forget.
And
So
do you think that's a bad thing or a good thing?
I'd say it's probably more bad than good, though. Um, I mean, when you hold on to things and you hold on to anger, it only hurts you. It only deteriorates you. Now some of it might be for good reason because you need to be reminded that this is not a good person or this is not a okay thing that happened and to never let it happen again or whatever the case may be. Like I said, we're in a tricky situation right now in our
Mm.
relationship. So that even's more so
What's tricky about it?
um making it work.
Okay, okay.
I mean, making any relationship work is tricky, but for me personally, making it work, it's tough.
It
You're
is.
dealing with the same person for however long it is. For me, it's 9 years, a little more. Um, like I said, I've known her my whole life, so I've been dealing with her a lot longer than 9 years. But so there's a lot of things that drive me fucking nuts. And when you're raising kids too in a relationship, you guys may not always agree on the same parenting aspects.
Absolutely, because you guys both have been brought up separately and
Yeah.
differently, different homes, different environments.
Yeah. So that plays a role in it. And for me, like I said, holding on to things. When you say something that hurt my feelings, I hold on to that. And I remember that you said something that hurt my feelings. So that pain and that feeling sits there and I hold up. So even if I don't purposely do it, subconsciously or whatever you'd like to call it changes the way I feel about you and the way I act towards you and the way I carry myself around you. And so that puts strain on a relationship. Any relationship that would put strain on.
Knowing where your strengths and weaknesses are is very important, which I feel you kind of do that on the regular when you smoke weed at the end of the day. You do your self reflection and figure out how the day went. The level of like, how are you at communicating exactly what you just said to me?
Horrible.
Horrible. See, well, that's why I'm asking because listen, my experience, I was always in the past. I'm like one of two guys. I'm either too much, like I want the relationship too much, so I'm around too much, or I'm the complete polar opposite. Couldn't give a fuck. Like those are the two options. I've never really been in the center of understanding where
Sweet spot.
I'm kind of getting there now. Like I'm realizing that in the past, any of the little things, which there could be many, that pile up that then feel like a weight that annoy me about someone. I realize that in the greater scheme of things, they don't really matter. And that the way in which that person makes me feel on a regular basis is more important than all those things because I'm not a perfect motherfucker. Maybe I mean, I don't leave the toilet seat up, but maybe I do little things as well that I don't see
Yeah.
that piss the fuck out of that person. But I do know that communication, regardless how much it may hurt, is so important because in the long run, the truth will be better. And if the truth is, I don't know how to communicate, just saying that will go
Yeah.
so far with a woman.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Just saying, babe, yes, I've been frustrated lately. And I know you can tell that because my body language towards you has been a certain way, but I don't know how to express to you what's going on inside here properly because I don't want to create an argument. And something like that, that just starts a conversation of more calmness.
Yeah. That's
And your tactic of leaving the room and smoking a joint, I think that's brilliant if an argument is starting. Because I always like, again, I'm not a relationship guru. I've had more unsuccessful relationships than I've had successful. If I was very successful, I'd have a weird ring on my finger. You know what I'm saying? So I've noticed with me, with all relationships, whether it's friends, coworkers, or a loved one, that when the shit's about to hit the fan, which you kind of know, I try to remove myself from the situation and say, listen, I'm going to take 3 minutes and walk away. We're going to continue, but I want to go deflate for a second before one of us says something more that we might not be able to turn back from. And since you say that if someone says something to hurt you, especially in a situation like that, that you're going to hold on to that, it's better to cut that opportunity off before it happens.
Before it gets there.
Go smoke your joint, calm the fuck down, evaluate what the conversation just was so that you can go back in and say, okay, babe, let's sit down and like, let's talk this out for a second before shit really goes bad.
If you can catch it in time.
If you
It
can
sounds
catch it
good.
in time, absolutely. But that's what I'm
Sometimes
saying.
not to say that sometimes you will, and like sometimes you can't let the person say what they're like. You gotta get so then it just starts. It's almost you're in it now. You're knee high. I'm already in it.
Even if you're knee high, you still have an opportunity to walk away for a minute.
You do.
You
It's
know?
shit. You need to run.
Yeah. And like right now, I'm just trying to think of all the different ways to communicate that could help the situation, because I always want everyone to have a successful life, and I always want everyone to be able to like go home to a happy environment. And we know it's not always going to be that way because you have challenges. Every household does. I love writing shit down, and
Big writer.
yeah, it's a
Big
really
writer.
good release of any information, or it's a really good
That's
way
how-
to get
that's-
things done.
That's how I would do it.
Yeah,
That's how I
that's gonna
like
be my next
whenever we
suggestion.
had a real big argument and things were said that should not have been said and doors were slammed and people left and didn't come back till 12:01, 2. When things got real bad, that is what I would do. As a kid, like I said, adopted. I grew up with 4 sisters, a brother, and my mom and dad all in one house. Mixed family. 2 kids from here, 1 kid from here, like 2 nephews. So it was a mixed a dysfunctional,
Brady
loving,
Bunch.
caring Brady Bunch. But that oh god, what
Writing it down.
writing it down. Oh, therapy. We all went to therapy. All family. And then while we were doing family, 10, 15 minutes individual real quick. Boom, 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 boom. So in therapy, what she would have me do is draw and write. So I would write how I'm feeling, write what I'm thinking, write what I so I grew up doing that my whole life. I've always written. Whenever I was mad or upset about something, I would write it down because that was the easiest way for me to get my feelings out because I always had trouble communicating my feelings. And that could be previous stuff from when I was very little that maybe that still affect me and have my whole life. But that was one way. So if you go in our closet, dude, you can pull out letters 2 pages long about the fight we had. This is what I was feeling. This is what this is what I did wrong, admitting it and owning up to it. This is what I hope happens, da da da. But that's how I would communicate all my feelings, dude. So if you go in our closet, open the box, I kid you not, there's letters upon letters in there. And that is how I would, because once once it gets to a certain point, sometimes I'll lose control and I can't express or I'm trying to express what I need to you, and you don't understand it or can't take it, or maybe we're at a point where you don't even care right now because the argument is duh. So writing it has always been for me the easiest way to communicate because I'm able to get it out calmly, and I'm a good writer, so I put good words to paper. And yeah, man, it's funny you're gonna suggest that, but that's something I do.
That's what you
That's something
do.
that is honestly the best way that I do communicate. In a relationship, like I said, I can sit here and talk to you, and it seems like we're communicating great, But when it comes down to deep, deep feelings with someone you love and care about, that is deep, deep. I find it hard to communicate about that, and maybe it's family stuff from growing up as a kid and stuff, and
I
seeing
mean, I'm not a
fights.
therapist. It could, I can only imagine it could stem from so many different
Yeah.
things. Yeah, the environment you grew up in as a young man. It can be um, fear of losing the person you're with. You know, you're in it with them. You know, you're basically going to war with them every day. They're your soldier next to you,
On
and
the battlefield.
you're fucking taking down life every day
Battlefield of love.
together. Yeah, and one word, like, I think we all go through this. One word said wrong could completely switch the entire relationship. And as much as men are supposed to be strong, we're also human.
Yeah.
And when we invest, this is something I feel that women don't always quite understand. When we invest our heart, when we invest our vulnerability to a woman, it's different. We
I
fucking
think so.
open up that fucking door.
Yeah.
I mean, the water comes flooding out,
Yeah.
and we don't ever want that shit to hurt.
No.
And that's
Can't be
something.
one leak.
No, I can't, right?
Man,
It's a parallel to that is like if women want to kind of understand men a little bit more with this kind of topic, it's like think about most of us when we get sick, right? We become like crippled babies.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know, we need our mommy to
yeah.
like tell us it's gonna be okay and rub our back and get us our medicine
Tuck the
and
comforter in.
yeah, whatever it was that we had done to us as a child, that's what we're looking for. And when we grow up and we start these relationships with someone that we love, and we truly don't want to be torn down. And that's why we put up some walls and some barriers and things that we have to do to keep ourselves safe. But we also have to learn while doing that how to communicate to them so that they can understand what we're going through, even if we're in an argument about who was supposed to pick up the kid.
Yeah.
Something simple like that.
Everyday stuff.
Yeah, because that's what we're in it for, right?
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what type of relationship, like I'm saying, whether it's a spouse or a best friend or a roommate,
Work, whatever.
whatever. These are all situations we deal with on a regular basis, and knowing how to go through them or knowing how to deal with them when they happen is so important.
I agree. Definitely agree.
You do a lot of things that I do by managing your time appropriately and knowing what it is you need to get done, knowing what it is you don't need to get done.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
It's awesome.
You gotta manage time.
Yeah.
Not time manages you.
Dude, sometimes it does, right? Sometimes you wake up and you're 4 steps back before you even get out of bed.
That's okay. That's okay. We all got bad days, man. Life's a roller coaster.
It is. It's a motherfucker
Yeah.
sometimes.
Sometimes you're gonna be ahead. Sometimes you're gonna be a couple steps back. Keep fucking trucking.
That's it. Know when to take time to skateboard. Know when to take time to do
Listen,
laundry.
I make sure I skateboard. Goddamn, that's my peace of mind.
Write shit down when you need to.
I got a to-do list on my phone.
Every
Some of the
day.
things might have been on there for a couple weeks already. Some of them are gone.
Oh my God, I'm going to show you after we wrap this up. I have a to-do list. It literally says to-do list. And there's stuff on there that's been on there for almost a year.
Yeah.
Right? And then there's other stuff that I put on one day and it's gone the next day.
You get that thing done in a year, even if it's a month and a half from now. Fuck yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's prioritized. Like
my mom always taught me, when you're about to do something, you got to think about the consequences, pros and cons. Think about the consequences. Think about the repercussions. That's how I treat life.
As in life, if you don't take the chance to do it, you just won't know if you can.
Absolutely.
It's how you deal with everything that comes at you that you can decide whether or not you want to be happy.
Figuring that out. At 35, I'll be 36 soon. I'm figuring that out now.
Well, let me tell you, if you ever have any questions about it, or if you ever need to talk to somebody, you've got my number. I'm here for everybody. I'm always willing to listen, give advice, suggestions, whatever it might be, because I'm 46 and it's in the more recent years that I've understood what it is I should be doing for myself to create an environment and to create an inner happiness in order to live happier.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not every day. Like we admit, shit happens, but it's how you deal with it that helps me understand that it's okay. So I got you if you need it.
That's good to know.
Jeremy, thank you so very much for coming by today. Lyfe
Oh,
Choices podcast is very happy
pleasure.
that you were here and you really got into some topics that, you know, are kind of tough. Not a lot of people out there in the world deal with the same problems that you deal with, but at least now maybe they'll understand how it is to live with a better mindset. You know, you really do have a fuck it, I'm going to do it anyways. I got to show up for me.
You have to. I
Yeah.
mean, it's your life.
Yeah.
You're in charge. Shit's gonna happen. You're still in charge. You got to play the game.
That's it. Play the game.
Play the game, man.
Yeah. It's a fun game.
Step up to the plate.
That's it. Give it a swing and see what happens.
See what happens. Scary sometimes, hard sometimes. Sometimes you decide not to do it, but I mean,
each day as it comes, right?
That's it.
That's all it is. Well, Jeremy, thank you so very much for coming here and sharing with us today on the Lyfe Choices podcast. I appreciate
you having me.
For all my lifers out there, thank you very much for swinging on by this week. We'll see you here next week, Tuesday at 2 p.m. on the Lyfe Choices podcast. Much love, everybody.
Ladies and gentlemen,
You are now about
The Journey, Life Choices podcast.